Yeah, hi, my name is Nick Gravum, and we're here at the Downworks, the birthplace of Osprey packs. This is the house where Mike used to live. At one point he redid the plaster work on the ceiling just as a way of like autographing it. He just put his name in there. Somehow that information got out to some of his Japanese followers, and they'll walk through the building just looking around somewhat starstruck. And they always are looking for that name, Mike, in the ceiling.
There. Well, I had simple hopes. I merely wanted to work for myself.
Growing up, we always thought backpacking was really cool and fun, and we just became sort of nerds about design of equipment. And in those days, lots of people made their own equipment. In those days, a lot of people did their own everything. They'd fix their own cars, they'd make their own vegetable gardens, they'd build their own houses, and we were just part of that big feeling that you could do it yourself.
We all were just trying to make things, and Mike was making probably everything. Mike used to make bike frames too, so he made his bike frame to go touring in Europe, and bicycle panniers.
When he was a teenager, he built a redwood canoe. He made all my maternity clothes. He cuts his dad's hair. The man can cook. Is he a good driver? I think he's a pretty good driver if I'm not in the car. He gets kind of lost. Right, left, right, which direction to go. It's not like he's bad at it, but he's a super handy guy. He's one of those gifted people that way.
My personal philosophy is that I enjoy life more if I'm surrounded by things that I built myself. I understand my surroundings and I connect better with my environment.
Our friends asked us to make stuff for them. We saw the potential of having businesses organized around what we thought was really fun and cool.
So Nick and I and Shelley talked about it, and we both sort of agreed that they could handle down products in town and I would make backpacks.
Just like a cottage industry, one-off to customers that came in. Both of us got all of our business from just word of mouth, people talking about our products to their friends in town.
Morning.
Hi.
Nick and Shelley are very good at letting me know when we don't hit the mark right.
They like criticism. When we get a new set of packs at the beginning of each season, we try them on ourselves and go through them and look at them. And whenever we've spotted areas that were in some way not done how we would think logical, we've always been able to just call Osprey up and talk to them about it. And they've always really appreciated that input because they're all about just trying to get the best stuff out there.
When I got married, we decided to move to a new place, and also at that time we decided to go into wholesale business, so we needed a larger manufacturing facility.
In the 80s, I started out working for I think $5 an hour and doing some office work. The company wasn't doing great in terms of an income for us. We also were doing, making bicycle battery packs, wheelchair cushions. For O'Neill, Mike made a prototype of a backpack tent surfboard carrier. It was really tough to make a living, and we had a hard time in Santa Cruz keeping people working. If the Grateful Dead was in town or the surf was up, people would not show up.
It just was a constant struggle, so we decided to look outside the area.
The demand was there always for Mike's packs. He was well known in the industry as an innovative designer, but if we didn't have the labor, we couldn't make it work. We received some information about Cortez, Colorado. We had an 8-track video sent to us called Consider Cortez.
We just sort of stumbled on the Four Corners where there was an abundance of skilled sewing operators, primarily Navajos from previous factories that had closed down.
The economic development people took us up to Dolores. And one of the reasons we went to Dolores is because we looked at the map and it was the one piece of the map that was green. Mike happened to look over and see this white, larger building, kind of had a unique architectural style. We just walked in there and it turned out to be a Gore-Tex factory that was closing that day. So, in other words, sewing machines, labor, materials, building, closing that day. So, being from Santa Cruz, we figured this was a pretty cosmic thing. We better go for it. Well, Marilyn Jones was our first person we hired, an incredible sewer, one of the best, and still with Osprey to this day.
It's because of my coworker, I speak mostly Navajo. But in between, there's words that I don't know. I say it in English, but mostly Navajo. Yat eh! I've been here since back in 1990, which is like 23 years. So back then there was me, Michael, and Linda Heine. There was only 3 of us.
When we moved to Dolores, I think we had $5,000 of receivables. That was about all we had to our name.
Osprey in the early days was a lot of fun. It was hard work because there just weren't that many people, and our business was pretty small, relatively speaking, but at the time it felt plenty big.
Dolores is a town of 800 people and very, very quiet. It was actually a very relaxing place. I think it was a wonderful place to raise kids. Recreationally, you couldn't beat it. And we knew that there was a pool of upwards of 100 people waiting to be hired if we needed them. So yes, we did grow fairly rapidly, I think. Maybe doubling every year at least.
It wasn't too long before we pretty much had filled the building. Probably within about 4 years, we purchased another building in Cortez, Colorado, which is about 12 miles south. By 1999, everything was down in Cortez. The company just grew. I mean, the demand for the product was there. It was just go down that road, and we went down that road, and the company just had success and growth, and it was really working really well for a long time.
Most of the places I go are quite urban. They can't really fathom the ruralness of Southwest Colorado. So I usually start by telling them a little bit about Cortez, which is 1/100th of their population, you know? And then I tell them where I live, which is in Dolores, which has about 1,000 people, and they just scratch their heads, and some of them just can't fathom it. Can't fathom it.
Cortez as a town, I like it. It's small, it's convenient. I like to come here.
I think that's really a good place to live because, you know, you get to see the 4 season, fall, you know, winter, spring, summer, and there's not that many people here.
If you've ever seen a Western movie, there's big sky, big vistas, clean air.
You find a diversity here, both ethnic diversity of folks that are attracted to this area and want to be here, and a diversity of mentality of folks that are resistant to change, some folks that embrace change.
I like living out here and kind of proving to the world that good business can be done in a rural area, and providing great employment to a rural area, and living kind of the real outdoor lifestyle.
If you're an outdoors person, there is so much to do here, whether you're just the casual hiker to the serious mountain biker. For my family, we hunt, we bike, we fish, we have a boat, we camp, backpack, snowboard.
Got to be one of the best areas, maybe in the world, for testing outdoor gear. You can get to the canyons in minutes, you can get up to the mountains.
If you go to the south, it's more like an Indian reservation, and if you go to the west, it's more like a desert, and then if you go to the north, then it's up in the mountains, and you can do about anything in Cortez.
I'm not originally from the area. I moved here specifically for Osprey.
I've been with Osprey for 12 years. I answered an ad in the paper. They were looking for a receptionist, and I've always wanted to do that kind of thing. That's what's in my blood. So I applied. I got the job. Here I am. Well, when I started, there was a sewing factory where the warehouse is.
We had kind of a boot camp going on back then where new employees were put on the assembly line for their first week or two, and so you got to spend some time stuffing hip belts and harnesses, and it was a good test of your willpower to work for the company.
When I first joined the company, I was CEO, head of U.S. sales, head of international sales, head of sourcing and buying. The company was also configured differently. We had about 9 people in the office, where we have close to 75 right now.
How do you like our new conference room with the new sliding door? Isn't it nice?
Yeah. Yeah, we both used to be guys.
Whether we're talking to an end user, to one of our dealers or buyers, to our reps, I want them to call in here, or how they're communicating with us. I want to make their day in the end, like, yeah, we got this, we'll take care of you, we got your back. We have a pack wall out here, so it's great that we can just go grab the product, lay it down on the platform, and you just start walking through every step. I'm up here at the top, and it connects to this portion, and it's right by this. We're the good guys in customer service, and warranty has to be the bad guys.
I'm a returns and quality assurance associate. I had a guy that couldn't read his own Osprey pack. He told me it was EOE, strange symbol, TUE. I was like, send me a picture of the name. It was momentum. He was reading it sideways because it's vertical. That was a weird one.
We're having a party on Wednesday because Mike Pfotenhauer is turning 60 next week, and all we need is a reason.
Okay, let's have another one. Cheers. We got 10 dozen in the fridge. 10 dozen? Squeeze it so it pops out. We don't lick it. No, you lick around the edge. Okay, so you lick around the edge. And then you go, Oh, it's not working. Wait. Yep. Hello, 7th decade. Boom!
The party rocked. I liked it.
Like, one thing that I love about working here is that we hire really good people, and they're all just a little weird, and we can be ourselves here.
Drug testing, we really don't feel like we need to do that. We've got a lot of transparency within the company, and we have a culture here of allowing people to be independent and pursuing their passions outside of work.
The people who live here want to be here, and that makes a big difference. The friendships are more real, the business is more real because we're all connected to this area, kind of toughing it out on our own. I think that Osprey is one of those exemplary outdoor companies that still represents what is and was good about the industry when it started in the 60s, 70s, and matured through the 80s and 90s and into this century. In the beginning, it was taking a great company that had not yet met its potential and changing the variables so that it could start to meet its potential. And it was well positioned in the industry, it made terrific product, it was performing well for our retailers. We struggled with production. One of the knocks on the company was late delivery. We were an expensive brand at that time. And I have to say the finances of the company were not picture perfect, so that was one of the main focuses as well.
We didn't have enough product. We were telling people no all the time. No, we couldn't take them on as a new account. No, we couldn't sell them more product. We couldn't grow as much as the market wanted us to. And that's when things got a little bit dark. We were under a lot of pressure to produce more packs, more packs, more packs.
We tried everything we could do to keep manufacturing in Colorado. It was all hands on deck. It was an emergency situation on a daily basis.
We held on as long as we could. We really did. We tested that theory and went as far down the road of domestic production as possible.
The writing was kind of on the wall. All our competitors had left the U.S.
They called some of us, and we got in a little circle. We're like, okay, what's going on? What did we do? Then when we got there and they started talking, and then they said, oh, you guys are the surviving ones. We're going to close down the factory and you guys going to keep on going. I'm like, yes!
I remember the days going from 90 down to about 30, down to about 10 people, you know, and that being really, really bittersweet. I remember the last US pack coming off the line, and it was autographed by all the remaining sewers, basically everybody in tears.
So although we tried the best we could using different techniques to increase our production, we learned in time that it was impossible, and we were forced to go offshore if we wanted to survive. And at the same time, that was rather pleasant to suddenly have that burden lifted from you.
Remember that we did it differently than other people. Mike, bless his heart, decided to not do what other companies done and simply outsource and live by email and FedEx and the occasional visit. He decided to follow his factory, take his family, and move from a town of 800 to a city of 8 million and face the challenges of running an organization overseas.
I suggested, why don't we move to Vietnam? I was sort of half joking.
I've had the privilege of being in Ho Chi Minh City maybe 15 or 20 times. Adjectives for me are raw, organic, earthy, smelly, intense, exciting, intoxicating, visual, overwhelming, good food.
Fast growing, ever changing, a wonderful example of capitalism. I protested against the war in Vietnam. I never imagined that I would go to Vietnam willingly and do business there. It was the last thing I ever imagined. The people are wonderful. It was a revelation to me to see such a healthy group of people who obviously enjoyed life. It turned my head around.
Mike set up in our house that we rented a small, teeny tiny design space in the garage and hired Quinn, who had been working with one of our factories. And that blossomed into a facility now where we have probably about 30 people. It's an extremely important part of the Osprey process, and we did it differently.
My name is Chris Graham. I'm Managing Director of Osprey Vietnam. Well, we're District 2 of Ho Chi Minh City, so 20 minutes by car to the city centre. We're on the small tributary that joins the Saigon River within view of the front of the office there.
This is my first trip to Vietnam. This is my first trip to Asia ever as a tourist or work or anything, and it's been wonderful meeting these people I work with every day via email to see the factories. And this is a beautiful country. A little more humid than Colorado and a lot more green, but it's a beautiful place to be.
They have a different approach to work in Vietnam and generally in Asia than in the West. They work very hard, they work long hours. It's a national norm to work 6 days a week. We only do 5, so people are here to work. We try and give our staff the responsibility to make decisions and develop product, which is not the norm. A lot of companies and a lot of factories will tell their staff exactly what they want them to do. They don't allow them to think out of the box, and we encourage that. And with that comes great loyalty and great results.
My name is Lam, Lương Thị Mộng Lam. I came here to study in the university, and I also just finished the MBA.
Nguyễn Thanh Hiền. Yeah, I work here like a graphic designer. Now I use a very orange packaging because I think it looks different when I go on motorbike and somebody catch me and ask me, where do you buy this bag? And I like it.
My full name is Đơn Thị Trâm. Yeah, it reverts with US, right? I'm developer to take care of check-in sample and then go to factory to develop a new sample. And before I work for factory, so it's a little bit boring. I have to follow the other ideas. So now I can I give my idea on the sample.
My job in Osprey is QC manager. It's a good environment for me to work here because this job is make me more and more busy, and I like to work at the busy job.
Công việc hiện tại đang làm thì làm rập. Tôi làm công ty đây được 6 năm hơn. Thường đa số sẽ mà khoa học gia tưởng.
Công việc là may mẫu, job này năm 22 tuổi. Giờ là 39 tuổi à. Khiếp thiệt.
My full name is Huỳnh Thị Thu Hà, but my first name is Hà. My job in Osprey is a driver. I like because I take work 5 days a week and I have a good boss. I think the woman is the driver better than man.
We try and share some of the values of the company here in terms of the balance of people have between work and their leisure time. There are cultural differences here where people are very focused on family from a young age, and there isn't the opportunity to do outdoor sports as there are in a lot of the markets that we're delivering product to.
I think there will be a lot more outdoor activity in the US. So like in the weekend, people go camping, people go hiking, or they plan for a sport activity, some races, but here we don't have that. We have no idea of how to go camping. There's no place to go camping. Or like some people living in a van or driving around, living in a different place. We don't do that.
We do trips to do outdoor pursuits, to do triathlons and jungle adventure races in the year, and people are encouraged to take part in that. Location and culture make it difficult to do the same thing. We have a cook, 2 cooks here, and have lunch outside and share that time every day, and that's great.
I'm totally looking forward to lunch.
Today, hôm nay ăn gà chiên nước mắm, rau cải luộc với lại súp rau củ. So that's all.
Bữa trưa mình ở đây hả? Chỉ tạm ổn thôi. Nó được thì đơn giản thôi. Tăng đơn giá lên.
Nếu mà cái túi bình thường á, mà may không có viền, may đơn giản á, thì nếu mà quay viền luôn thì có thể là 1 ngày xong một cái túi.
Prototypes are made in the sample room. Quinn directs the team there.
You know, what we do here in our design office in Vietnam, continually building prototypes and continually building prototypes, refining it via trips via our designers here, via life size and Skype video conferences back in the US. You know, we do that. That's rare. You know, we're not working with the factory over email. We are building it. This is our company. These are our employees, and you know, they're very proud of what they're doing. We're very proud of what they're doing here.
When I were kids, we don't use backpacks. Usually we had clips. So you had clips that holds on my hand.
I think in some ways Quinn's lack of experience with the end use of the product can be helpful in that he looks at the problems more objectively.
First, I try to imagine like I'm gonna go camping for 2 or 3 days. What do I need and how do I organize them? Then I look into internet to see, YouTube to see how people actually do it and what's interesting about it. It could be interesting that I have a different way of organizing, and it could be good.
He questions some things that might seem obvious to me and shouldn't be obvious, and therefore together I think we come up with some very interesting ideas.
I'm not saying I'm a successful designer, but I think I'm a good designer. I customize my bike a little bit, and I think I customize the mirror. I customize the signal here. Also, I customize the tail. The tail here to be more aerodynamic and a minimal air resistance. I recommend all the other motorcyclists should wear backpacks.
Some of his backpack design is derivative of the way he feels about motorcycles. It's fast. I think it's a great way to understand that culture, is to get on a motorbike and head into the thick of it.
We centre our sourcing all within an hour of here, so we can go and correct problems or develop a product a quick hour by car or motorbike, much easier than you can if we were spread across Southeast Asia or China. We have multiple hiccups and chaotic situations, mostly in factories, almost every week, which we have to react to and fix before the product leaves.
We have a main factory here, 2,000 people, and second factory is the 500, to total 2,500 people. We have a dormitory here, so 10 Korean managers living in our dormitory next to our factory. So exactly we're living in factory.
Mike, he is very creative designer. Compare with other brand, same size hydration packs, 100 pattern. Osprey packs, same size, maybe just roughly 300 patterns. It's totally different. Many pattern means more natural shape, more function, more convenience. Yeah, it's very good for user. But for manufacturer, I want to say it's not easy.
I think if you were to visit a factory, you would see that this is a livelihood of a lot of people. And that's the way we look at it. We're paying a premium for our product, and they are being paid a premium wage, relatively speaking, for working on that product. Repetitive work in a factory environment is not desirable in the States or Europe, but the people that do it get a good wage for it. And the nice thing about Vietnam is that the workers tend to live within a bicycle ride of the factory. There's no dormitories, so they will live with their families and cycle to work or motorbike to work. They can choose to move between factories, and that's quite different in China, where they will travel by bus for, can be a couple of days to live in a dormitory for the year and only go home once a year. It has a much better atmosphere.
Em làm ở đây đầu từ 7 giờ rưỡi làm, 7 giờ rưỡi làm, nếu mà không tăng ca thì về 4 rưỡi, còn có tăng ca thì về 8 giờ.
Hàng Osprey là một cái hàng không có phải đơn giản, nó rất là đòi hỏi cái kỹ thuật rất là cao, cái đường kim mũi chỉ nó phải rất là tỉ mỉ, chứ không có giống như những cái đơn hoặc cái mã hàng khác.
We have Vietnamese people on our staff who communicate with them on a daily basis and who let us know if there are any issues, and I'm happy to say that there are very few of those. In fact, I think probably fewer than what we experienced in our own factory in Colorado. We personally know the owners of our factories. We have good close relationships with them. They rely on us, as we do on them, to maintain the best working conditions possible for their employees. It's a constant area of focus for our company. We need to make sure that our factory owners consider the welfare of their employees before anything else. And I see a constant flow of people lined up outside who are looking for work there.
Một lần uống một ly.
Just one time.
If I roll here, put me, I had ring. If you are not unlucky, you had ring a lot. It's very funny.
I love it when our staff in Vietnam goes out to party, because they really know how to party. I learn a lot about how to party by being with them. They just cut loose. Before I know it, I've consumed more beer than I ever imagined, and thank God the heat is such that you can do that without passing out.
What's the breed name? Golden Gate. Golden Gate.
It feels like it should feel normal to go back to a Western country, but actually this now feels quite normal.
It's one thing to be there building the product hands-on and watching it every day and following its evolution and guaranteeing that it ends up being what you envisioned. That's another to be thousands of miles away and to be hampered by communication systems, the inability to see the product, to touch it, to follow the changes on a minute-by-minute basis. It was very difficult for me to move back home because I was so wrapped up in the design and development and manufacturing of the product. I felt cut off.
All portable electronic devices turned off as shows for making one final pass through the cabin to collect any remaining service items, check around the seating area, and in the seat pockets for any items you'd like to discard. Be on the ground shortly. Welcome to San Francisco.
The problem of being remote from manufacturing is an ongoing struggle for us in California.
One of the things that I was concerned about when I hired on here was the ability to communicate between Mill Valley and Cortez and Mill Valley and Vietnam. So I was worried that we wouldn't have clear enough, steady enough communication, and in the beginning we didn't.
How often do you package one backpack in thousands of pounds of steel and ship it one at a time?
Ben? Ben? We have invested in high-end web conferencing systems that allow us to view our product in high resolution and to remotely control our cameras so that we can zoom in on the product.
Now, when we have meetings between locations, it really doesn't feel all that different from a meeting where everybody's in the same room.
How you doing, Eric? Yeah, good, thanks. We are taking advantages in some ways we never imagined.
We're both operating in the other person's night. That can be great. We can receive a set of ideas in the morning and pattern it up and create a product through the day and have that ready to show by the time the US team come back into the office.
Around-the-clock development.
Typically, we receive a prototype from Vietnam that they've built for us. Then we review it and we write up notes and take pictures and draw on the packs and send an email full of notes and pictures back to Quinn. And he has to interpret those notes and then he builds another prototype based on that. So that whole process takes about a week and a half to 2 weeks. But if I'm over there, we can do it in one day.
That's the most frustrating part, is that what I could do in 5 minutes there will take me sometimes a whole day to convey with written language.
My job is to look at the marketplace and understand what consumers are looking for, what our retailers are looking for, and help guide the development of our product line. Try to help the design team make good decisions about designs based on, call it empirical evidence.
We are a gear carrying expert. We're a pack company. And every season we have to hit it right on packs because we can't have a good footwear year but a bad apparel year. We have to have a good pack year every year.
The image of an Osprey in my mind has stayed pretty consistent as long as I've known the product. I want to call it like an orca whale aesthetic.
Hello.
Coming to Osprey was interesting because creativity just ran free and with no apparent structure that I could see.
Some designs will require as little as, say, 5 rounds, 5 iterations. Others could take up to 30 or 40. And often we will go way out in circles and come back where we started. There's no telling where it will go.
Wow, what's going on here?
I don't know what's going on here. This is the first one and some of it doesn't make any sense. I can't remember what we were thinking. This just simply slides and you can lock it in. Nice contoured bucket for the kid to slide into. Maybe overbuilt, so just by picking the pack up, the belt comes open, you can wear it. Drool pad, phone pockets on the shoulder harness, thermo-molded and perforated lumbar. We had to engineer these buckles, a different kind of harness. Also handles for grabbing and lifting. Stretchable chest strap. Cartoony birds. Lots of airflow for the child so they don't get too hot when they're wrapped up in all this foam. A lot of parents want hydration, so we built a hydration sleeve down in front here, highlighting the important buckles in red. Easy on and off. Day pack. Removable diaper pad. Stirrups, you can remove those. Sun protection and rain protection. Torso adjustment is a snap, just up and down. Release the cam, slide it up down to fit. Large zippered compartment in the bottom. So here you can see 15 packs, part of, I'd say 50. But I don't know if we want to go into that much detail.
You know, in recent history with the downturn of the economy in the United States, we haven't had any downturn at all in our business, just like when we were kids. When we were kids or teenagers, we didn't have any money. And so when we wanted to have fun, we'd go camping.
We face a lot of challenges just as a company. And I think that the biggest one is just to keep doing what we're doing successfully. I don't think I've ever seen a brand in the pack business dominate at anything like the level that Osprey does right now.
Ever since I started, it's been growing and it keeps growing. I feel like I kind of came in at the beginning of a super crazy time.
What I get most excited about is the growth is coming organically. You know, we're not out there forcing sales programs and pushing the issue. It's, you know, the product, it comes down to the product. The product sells incredibly well.
Throughout this thing, the company is a family, and it's, you know, it's definitely different from other corporations and larger companies, and we are growing like a weed.
在中国现在有特别多的喜欢 Osprey 的人在中国，他们有一些比较典型的，像最夸张的有在我们温州的一个Osprey 的粉丝，在中国 Osprey 所有的粉丝我们叫做欧粉 ，Osprey fans。其中有一个温州的欧粉他是自己有74个 Osprey。
We're becoming too well known, and it's not something that the company's built for. We're built for trying to grow and innovate and be different. Our challenge really is going to be now reinventing what we've done and making sure it keeps changing, keeps improving, and keeps people interested.
People are asking me, what does this guy do? How does he do it? How does he, make it like that much better every year? It's like Mike Votenauer keeps setting the mark higher and higher.
Mike has so totally surpassed my imagination of what this could be and what this company could be and what the backpacks could look like.
Well, the pack of the future, I think it's either going to be a pack that follows you, hovers and follows you, or it will be a pack that actually transports you. That's the ultimate.
Some kind of high technology construction method that's efficient labor-wise and maybe means that we can build stuff back in the U.S.
I think it'll have less buckles on it.
It just hovers like around you, and you don't even have to carry it. It just kind of follows you.
I kind of have visions of like exoskeleton things, like insect type moving parts.
Reverse polarity magnets.
There will be more maybe injection mold or parts.
No longer be any need to carry a backpack, so maybe the backpack of the future will be some sort of retro conception.
I think there always will be backpacks.
Ethereal type material that just disappears when you're done using it.
Implantations in people's hips with some sort of load nodes. As the founder of the company, I'm often asked, what's our vision, what's our mission statement, and it seems that I'm never able to give a very good answer for that. I downright refuse to, I think, because I can't put my finger on it. I think our mission is probably better defined by what we've done and the actions that we've already taken.
I'd like to be able to look at this and go, yeah, this all made sense.
Mike's next design is to put a rocket in the backpack and ask her if she has an opinion on that.
Ông Mai cũng đang nghĩ là trong tương lai ông sẽ thiết kế cái túi mà bỏ đá lớn này đằng sau. Thì nghĩ như là ý kiến của chị như nào? Có nên làm như vậy không?
Bỏ đá lớn à? Nguy hiểm vậy? Nguy hiểm đó. Thiết kế bỏ đá lớn nguy hiểm quá.
Để làm được không?
Nếu một khi mà Superman thích thì có thể Superman làm được.